This is literally my third time filming this. Everyone is disturbed. Grab your hydro flask because this is going to be a long video. I don't know, depending on your attention span, it might be long. Hey, my name is Jabin, I collect vinyl records, and today I'm going to talk about how I started getting into collecting vinyl records and also giving you guys a few tips in terms of how to get started. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video if it helped you in any way, and at the same time comment down below what you guys have in your collection in terms of vinyl records. Other than that, let's get started. So I started off by going through Tumblr as a kid. When I was a teenager, Tumblr was all the rage, and on the site I would always see vinyl records, people with their Crosley turntables, and how aesthetic it was to own vinyl and have your own collection. At the same time, music during that time, a lot of indie artists were pressing their albums on vinyl, and that got me interested because my favorite band, the 1975, had their album on vinyl, and at the same time it was pressed on clear vinyl. So the 15-year-old me was like, I should get started in collecting vinyl records. One thing led to another. I asked my mom to get me a vinyl, like a record player for Christmas, which was the Crosley briefcase turntable, and it was in polka dot. And then I got most of my vinyl from thrift stores. It wasn't really popular back then, so a lot of the times I got these really old records, like these really good albums like Fleetwood Mac for like dirt cheap. And honestly, that's how I got more into it. Fast forward to my 16th birthday, I got the 1975's debut album on vinyl. That was the first record I ever bought. And fast forward to now, I have two turntables. I have the LP60 and I have the, let me just get it. I have the Audio-Technica AT-LP120 USB. Which is a good turntable if you are wanting to invest more into vinyl. So where am I now in 2020? Two turntables, this whole lot of red. Just kidding, it's just my collection filled with 60 brand new records, some old, some new, but I also have a collection full of those thrifted vinyl as well in my basement. So yeah. So in terms of my own setup, I have the Audio-Technica LP60 and the LP120. At times I just interchange them because a lot of people have a lot of questions in terms of how to set it up. So for now, I think I'm using the LP60 just for the convenience of it. So what I was trying to say was that the LP120, you have to get up and put the needle back in its holder. When compared to the LP60, it's automatic. When you press stop, it'll go back to the holder, and you don't have to worry about that with the LP60. So yeah. And not to mention, you do need speakers for the turntables I recommend. So moving forward, we are going to my first tip of getting started into collecting vinyl records, which is buying a turntable. That is an essential need in terms of playing your fancy, cool vinyl plastic disc. It's fun here. You could do your own research in terms of your budget, in terms of what your turntable needs, and all that stuff, etc. With that said, I recommend a few options. To start off, we have the Audio-Technica LP60. This is the first turntable that I got that really kind of helped me more into collecting vinyl records. You do need speakers. I will talk about that later, but for now, the Audio-Technica LP60 is one of the best ones to get when you're just starting out. It's a if you're like semi-committed or fully committed, I would recommend this turntable because it has a start and stop button, and it's automatic, so once the album is done playing, it goes back to its holder, compared to the LP120 like I said before. In terms of speakers, I use Edifier speakers like I said before. These are the RT1280T, and they are really good for the price that it starts at. My second recommendation of a turntable is the Heyday turntable, which is exclusive to the States at Target. I've seen a few people come to me and say they've got it for cheaper than what it's being sold for at $100. It is Bluetooth compatible, and at the same time you could plug in your speakers as well with RCA cables. My third and last option is doing your own research again and getting a used setup. A lot of the times older models of turntables last longer than even my Audio-Technica. With that said, I say do your research, because most of the time you need a receiver, an amplifier, and all these other things, because a lot of the times turntables aren't that universal. And honestly, you'll save more money in terms of getting a used setup. I got the LP120 used actually, so that's what I mean by looking for a used turntable. You might be wondering why I haven't been recommending any of the briefcase turntable or the all-in-one setups and brands like such as Jensen and Crosley and Victrola, and that's because they are lower end turntables. They don't have the best quality, and personally I don't recommend them because over time they break down on you. They're not good quality, so you won't really enjoy your vinyl records. And same with the sound. With the built-in speakers, the sound is just, it's not good. Vinyl is a very complex hobby to start off with. You need a lot just to even get started with. Crosley and Victrola Jensen, there are a good gateway in terms of getting into the hobby. Not a lot of teenagers, which is what Urban Outfitters are targeting towards for these like fancy pieces of plastic, don't have the disposable income to be like, hey, get me an LP60. So that's why I'm not too harsh on it, but I always recommend those turntables as stated before, just for anyone who is serious in terms of getting started. Moving on, how do I store my records? So storing records, you need a dedicated setup. So there's this thing called Calyx. It's from IKEA, and I'm in the middle of moving, so I'm moving soon, so I might be getting a Calyx setup from IKEA, and I'm gonna bring you guys with me because I'll be filming that setup with you guys. The only thing I would recommend is either getting like a small box or a milk crate. Actually, that's what they did back then in the 80s and 70s. They would get milk crates and store their records vertically inside. Make sure you don't stack your vinyl on top of each other because they will warp. I've seen it happen a few times, not my collection, but like at old thrift stores, and it's not a pretty look at all. So just make sure you store your records vertically and not on top of each other, and you should be good. Plastic sleeves. I always get this question on my TikToks. So plastic sleeves, these are called record sleeves. They are they're pretty inexpensive, if I'm gonna be honest. So I think I got like a set of 20 for $12 at my local record store at the mall. And they're honestly the best thing to keep your records safe from any like oil stains or any dirt when you're handling your vinyl records. They also protect your album art as well, so I would recommend them. There's no specific brand. There are a few companies who have branded ones, but go to a local record store. I don't know if Amazon sells them. I think they do, but there's a few dedicated record stores that sell them by the bulk, so I would recommend going to your local record store if you do have one and getting a pack. Where do I buy my vinyl records? I honestly want to start off by saying please shop local in terms of buying vinyl records. Go on Google right now, search up if you have a local record store near you, make a trip and check them out. Most of the time they might have what you're looking for, but honestly it's just so cool to go to your local record store and see what they have in store. And at the same time, you do want to help out these independent or local record stores, because especially in a time like this, helping out small businesses is the best way to go. In terms of department stores, I usually go to Urban Outfitters, I go to Target, Barnes & Nobles, and even Walmart. I haven't shopped at Walmart in terms of vinyl, but I know in the States they're very competitive in terms of the vinyl market, even having exclusives. So there's that. But yeah, I usually shop from independent record stores such as Rough Trade, Amoeba, HHV for European countries. There's also, I don't know, there's so many independent record stores out there, so doing your research in terms of that is recommended. And you might be wondering why I haven't mentioned Jeff Bezos yet. Here's the thing, especially with smaller businesses, I wouldn't recommend buying vinyl from Amazon. But if it's like the only way to get a certain copy, I would recommend them. There's nothing wrong with it, but since vinyl is such a niche hobby, I would recommend just going straight up to your local record store first rather than just going to Amazon. As convenient as it can be, it's better to support local than to support corporate. Lastly, I would recommend going onto Discogs. Discogs is a vinyl enthusiast marketplace in terms of buying and selling, trading vinyl, I think. Yeah, and you can see other people's collection as well, and you can message just anyone on there in terms of buying and selling vinyl. Okay, my battery's about to die. I've kind of died down in terms of my mood, in terms of making this video. So that's the end of my video. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you have any more questions about collecting vinyl records, don't forget to comment down below, because I will be responding to them. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Peace.